I'm Kellen Marion, and welcome to STEM to Share. In today's episode, I'm speaking with an admissions counselor and the Associate Director of Admissions from the Maine Maritime Academy.
My name is Kate Kana, and I am the Associate Director of Admissions for Maine Maritime Academy.
And my name is Elizabeth Allaby. I'm an admissions counselor for Maine Maritime Academy.
Could you please give me a brief overview of your school?
We are Maine Maritime Academy, so we are on the coast, mid-coast of Maine, so about halfway up. You kind of stretched Maine's border between the land and the ocean. And we are a school that specializes in training mariners to work out at sea. We've branched out to a couple other programs since our foundation, but we are about 1,000 students. We have 4 major programs on campus. We have our transportation program, so the students that want to become captains and mates and work in the maritime industry with a command center, eventually working their way up to captain on the world's largest ships. We have our engineering program, so students can come in, go the maritime route of engineering and become marine engineers, work aboard vessels of all kinds, all shapes, all sizes. They can transition into a power scene where they don't necessarily work out at sea, but they might be working very large engine shoreside. We have a naval architecture program, so students that might want to design vessels. So as you can get the gist, we're very maritime related in terms of those programs. We have an international business program for our students that love the movement of goods and the foundation of how that works, but they might not necessarily see themselves as the ones going out to be the captain. So they're going to be the shoreside support on the business side of things. And then we have an entire ocean science program. So those students come with that unique ability to not only get the ocean science portion, but also learn how the vessels operate. So in terms of learning how a research vessel operates, so they not only come away with the foundations of the ocean science, but they also are learning the equipment use and the vessel operations. So all in all, we don't have tons of different programs, but what we do are very centered around water, the boats, the maritime industry, anything that kind of falls under the umbrella of the ocean.
What makes the maritime industry so important?
I don't remember the percentage off the top of my head, but I do know that most goods, most trade happens on the water, not so much up in planes like it's easy to think. And especially what we're seeing right now in the middle of this pandemic is sort of that supply chain and getting stuff from point A to point B to point C. So that plays a huge role specifically in global trade. Maybe you can speak to some of the other aspects as well, Kate.
Yes, if you think about the way that the world was formed and where the major cities are, they're on major waterways, whether it's right on the ocean or up a river a little bit to be in a safe harbor. And so the maritime industry has been the core foundation of the movement of goods and people for hundreds of thousands of years. So our students not only learn the foundation of how to get a boat from point A to point B in the most cost-effective, safe way possible, but they're learning the history behind that as well. So they're coming away with that legacy, that maritime legacy of what they're doing, why it's important, what they're doing, and what they can kind of bring to that industry and advance it so that it can continue to be a forward-thinking industry.
What do you find so exciting about your job?
It's such a unique school and such an interesting industry. But what I really like about the job, honestly, is the students, because it's really a special type of student who pursues a maritime career. They're generally pretty driven, and they're super curious and adventurous and can't wait to, go out to corners of the world I can't even imagine, because I'm not necessarily a person who's been out in the industry, but I like our students a whole lot.
I came out of the maritime industry, so I worked out at sea for many years. And one of my exciting portions is talking to students, other females, males that don't know much about the maritime industry, and getting them excited about that, getting them into something that they're going to go off and do unbelievable stuff. I had the opportunity to see parts of the world that you can't get to any other means besides the one boat we were on, these remote islands of the South Pacific that only 80 people live on, and there's nothing else but them. And we were sailing and bringing them their goods for the next 6 months to tell people about these stories and get them excited that they could do the same thing and make an impact in other people's lives, is really exciting. So it's fun getting to chat with the next generation of mariners.
Why is it so important to get a STEM type degree in today's economy?
Yeah, you can go off and do anything you want with it. With our graduates, although they're coming with a maritime thread of an education, and they might be getting a license in addition. Some of our students will go through the business program or the marine science program and not get that license, but they're still getting that thread of the STEM education. All of our students, regardless of what major they've gone into, can always transition shoreside, and they have the skills necessary to go off and be CEOs, CFOs, or engineers shoreside, draftsmen for yacht design. They've got those skills, so they can, the world is open to them at that point.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of our alumni seem to even own their own businesses, and I think all the skills Kate just mentioned, but also having that STEM background gives you a lot of confidence and knowledge to become an entrepreneur. And in some ways, because they're already, more adventurous, they're going to take those risks, and often they're successful. Like, it's pretty incredible to speak with some of our alumni.
What kind of skills are you looking for in students?
Core things that we're looking for in a student that's coming out of high school, or even having had some life experience and wanting to go back to school. Obviously, their math and their sciences in high school are very important. So the further they can progress in the math, if they can get up to calculus or AP calculus, that's fantastic. Some schools don't offer that. Some students don't have the ability, not necessarily the knowledge base, but their school doesn't have the trajectory of getting them all the way to calculus, and that's fine. We just want to make sure that they are invested in that math process. They're not skipping a year of math. And then it's science as well. So there's biology, chemistry, physics. There's other environmental sciences that would be important, but the core ones, biology, chemistry, and physics, we do like to see on a student's transcript coming in, especially the physics if they're going into engineering. But some of the other factors that we really highlight for candidates are: what leadership positions have you taken in high school? What have you done to make yourself stand out? Who are you outside of the classroom? We can look at grades and we can look at SAT scores all day, and they'll make us blue in the face. And it doesn't necessarily tell us what kind of student they're going to be at a school like Maine Maritime Academy. So we want to see, have they been doing a project like this one? Have they been an Eagle Scout or a Girl Scout or a leader in a youth group or a church group or a sports team or a club at their school? What have they done to make themselves a little different than everybody else? Anything to add to that, Elizabeth?
I was going to say, even balancing maybe a part-time job along with your school, or oftentimes a lot of kids come out and in some ways they were a second parent to some of their younger siblings, and they spent a lot of time caring for younger siblings. Like, things like this we love to hear about, because, like, just to reiterate what Kate said, we can look at your numbers all day long, your grades and your SAT score, but we really want to know, like, who you are as a person, if that makes sense.
What sets your school apart from others?
So many things. We're small, so we're 1,000 students thereabouts, and I always say it's good and bad. Your professors really get to know you and they know your name, but they also know your name. So if you didn't do your schoolwork, but it's nice because the professors get to know you on such a personal level. If there's a course you're struggling with, like, they want you to succeed and they will help you in any way they can. Other things, of course, are placement. Like, we are located on one of the most beautiful peninsulas I've ever seen in my life. I'm originally from the Midwest, so living out on the Maine coast is like a dream come true. And our Castine Harbor, where we have all of our vessels, is just like the most wonderful outdoor water playground you can imagine. Like, there's nothing but boats, just us. We're not sharing it with a bunch of heavy industry, so it's a great place to get to learn. I don't know if you have a couple other things to add to that.
Yeah, just to kind of tag off what you were saying, our professors, many have come out of the industry too. And so not only are they teaching you the experience that they've known, but they're connecting you with their contacts in the industry and making sure that once you've dedicated your time to MMA, you are part of the family. And they're going to make sure that you have the greatest opportunities going forward. And the other thing is, we have an incredible job placement rate. We place 90 or more % of our graduating class within 90 days of graduation. Many of them have a job in hand before they walk across that stage, which is unbelievable. Yes, many are well-paying jobs because the maritime industry is a well-paying industry, but that's not all that counts. They have a job in the field that they've studied in. So they're not going off saying, great, I've graduated college, now what do I do? They have a trajectory in mind. Even with this pandemic and all these, industries laying off folks, many of our graduates have come back and said, I'm just starting a job right now, or I've got this job offer, I'm trying to decide between these 3 different job offers. It's like, they've got these opportunities out there right now, which many college graduates aren't facing necessarily. So,
is there any additional advice or interesting information that you'd like to add?
Whether you think it's going to lead you to your ultimate career when you're 65 years old or not, go explore that and keep your mind open too. Check out these places that you might not have heard of. Maybe they have a program that's similar, not what you were thinking, but they might have other things that you're going to open your mind to. And so there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. We're one of the many different career paths that you can go pursue, but go find something that is going to make you happy in the long run.
Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Bye!